because we are consciousness, to change the rules of the game, to make it something different than it is. Change inside, but let's also agree, because that's what's happening. That's what a consciousness revolution has to be about. It's not good enough for you, David Icke, to have got it. It's not good enough for us to have got it. What we need is for everyone to get it that's in this game here on this plane, because that's what it's really about. In other words, consciousness, and this is where it gets into what is consciousness. It's love. And what is love? It's actually the awareness of all of us.
Well, I would say everything is consciousness, but mind is consciousness, but it's a much denser expression of consciousness, and that's why it thinks everything in terms of limitation. And as people become conscious, it can, to use the term of a friend of mine in South Africa, consciousness can conscientize mind and bring its awareness out of the level that it currently perceives reality. But I do think it's important that if we're going to play this game successfully, that we understand where the game's being played. It's not being played out there. See, what the five senses are doing, like I said earlier, is that they're decoding vibrational information, turning it into electrical signals, and the brain then constructs this apparent reality out there, which is actually only in here. So the prime reality is vibrational. That's the prime reality. That's where the change has to take place. Because as the change takes place there, the five senses decode different vibrational states into electrical signals.
Like that wonderful story told by Michael Talbot in The Holographic Universe.
Yeah.
And I read that page over and over again when I first saw that book in the late 1980s. This is the story about the stage hypnotist who hypnotized the father to believe that his daughter was invisible. And then he was able to read an inscription on the watch held behind her body, because for him it was no longer there and reality had changed. It was physically different in his mind.
Well, this is the whole point, you see, that for a hypnotist to put a watch behind someone's back and someone on the other side of her read it, that is perceived to be impossible. But it's only impossible if you believe this world to be solid and real and out there. The reason it could happen is because the prime reality, and this, I can't emphasize this more, the prime reality that is playing out here is vibrational. That has to change or this can't change. And so if the hypnotist, as he did, implanted the program into the guy's brain not to decode the vibrational level, the prime level of his daughter, through this system into a holographic so-called physical form that we see, then he would decode all the other vibrational fields in the room into people and walls and furniture. But because it's like a computer being firewalled off, he doesn't decode the daughter's prime state, your prime state, our prime state, the prime state of everything, this vibration, the vibrational level, into the holographic, apparently out there reality. And so she doesn't exist in his head as a holographic form, i.e. supposedly physical, so he can't see her. Because she's not there, he can see what's behind her. Therefore he can read a watch even though she's standing there to everyone else in the room. They can see her. Why? Because their brain has not been programmed not to read that energy field into a holographic form. Now, just as a quick aside, how many things collectively are we not reading that are there to be read?
Right. Well, one of the things is there's more than five senses. Okay, and the heart is, you can't, see, it's not just the mind, it's actually the heart. It's really the heart and the intelligence of the heart that he could see through if he would only use that. So it's more than, we have, in other words, these are tools for us. Our mind is a tool, our heart is a tool, but you can't stay up here. You've actually got to go through the heart to really see. See, we don't see with our eyes. That's a construct. That's a mental construct. We actually see with our heart more than anything else, and through the heart. And so what happens is it's a union between the mind and the heart.
Yeah, I agree.
That allows you to see. And what you could put yourself in that man's position and say, how could the man see through the implant that was put into his brain? First of all, what did he do? He had to accept the magician's or, implant to begin with. So in the same way, we in society are accepting the implant, whether it's television or whatever, which is blocking our real view of reality. We're accepting it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, that what the hypnotist was doing was just programming the decoding mechanism.
Yes.
And therefore, he didn't decode a vibrational field, i.e. his daughter, into a holographic form. Therefore, he didn't see her. And I completely agree that the heart has the potential to be a massive part of our reality, decoding our reality expression. But we also have to appreciate that this conspiracy, while we see the George Bushes of the world and the Barack Obamas and people like that and the Kissingers, the real level of this conspiracy where the world is being controlled is on a vibrational level. That's why I talk about these reptilians that are doing this and others too, operating outside this reality. They operate in the level of the vibrational level. That's where the manipulation's going. And we need to be kind to ourselves as well in understanding the challenges that we've faced, and not least trying to understand a world that is being manipulated into a state, or has been manipulated into a state, which is to stop us understanding the world. And so, we look at television and the manipulation of television and newspapers and stuff. But when we see a newspaper or we see a television program, we're just seeing the decoded version of a vibrational field. Those newspapers and those television programs and news programs and all the rest of it, they are actually, quote, physical holographic representations of the prime reality, which is a vibrational field. It's at that level that manipulation we call subliminal, that manipulation we call lying to the people and all the rest of it, actually happens. And so basically what they've done is pull a vibrational veil over us. And if you can make it powerful enough and dense enough, you focus people's sense of perception into such a narrow area that they disconnect from an awareness and therefore a deep effect in their perception of consciousness. You're isolating their point of observation into mind, and that's happening on a vibrational level, which then plays out in what we call the physical world. So what's vital, and this is why this information is so important, not just, I'll tell you what I found. Nothing represents literally and symbolically the prison than the left brain, which deals in apartness, language, hierarchy, structure, and all this stuff. And the information about the five-sense conspiracy, I've found, one of its great values is that it operates in a left brain realm when you're explaining how this and that and the other is connected to the same people, and they control that, and this is what they're doing, and these are the techniques they use. That's left brain information. Right. And when people say, oh, you shouldn't put out that information, it's negative, they don't understand that we're looking at a multi-level situation, therefore we have to deal with it on a multi-level basis. That means covering all bases, not just sitting cross-legged on a mountain.
Of course.
Now, what I've found over the years is that once the left brain, because symbolically I see, you've got the left brain, which is what I'm talking about. You've got the right brain, which is a much more out there connection and sees everything in unity, the creativity. And then you've got the bridge, the corpus callosum, which ideally should be sharing information. So you've got a balance. You're in this world and of it,